I've had several artists in the family. I've had an uncle who was an artist during World War II, flew bombers and did watercolors, war scenes and Southeast Asian landscapes. And then I have another uncle who was in public relations and advertising on Madison Avenue, and he got me really started in art by giving me pieces of stone and carving tools. So right from the start, I've always been involved, and then my grandfather had a farm in New Jersey, so we were always handy with tools and fixing things and cutting and grinding and whatever else had to be done. Junior high, high school, took a lot of art classes and was at the Delaware Art Institute for a while. Then when I was in the service, I learned some welding in the Army, and then more welding at the Jet Propulsion Lab. And in 1994, at the Evanston Art Center here in Illinois, I took a course in sculptural welding as opposed to functional welding. And in 2004, started my own studio right here, doing sculpture, painting with metal on it. A lot of my work at that time was all science-based. And then that's blossomed ever since, to the point where now I do sculpture about half the time, and now I work with a series of decorators and designers making custom steel furniture and furnishings and solving problems for decorators. There is, in terms of figuring out how you're going to hook everything together. I mean, you can draw it one way, and then in trying to figure out how to make it, you have to make changes along the way. Usually I have a really good idea of what I want it to look like at the end. I don't do drawings on computers, so it's, well, if this fits here, then we'll weld it here and see what the next piece is going to do. My sculpture is only in just regular carbon steel. What you wind up with are pretty basic cutters, grinders, what's known as a chop saw, which is just a big grit disc that can cut through 6 inches of metal. And then grinders, polishers, sanders, just routine machines. And then I have an ancient MIG welder that's stood the test of time. Let's see, I've had it probably 15 years from a guy that retired, and he had it another 20 years. I think it's probably from the 60s or 70s. Just keeps going. I've done pieces that are totally interpreted differently by the observer, and both are, you know, good observations. They don't necessarily have to be my observations. On my scientific derived pieces, I want them to just stop and think and either ask questions or go look up questions or think about science in general as something positive. So you just never know. The piece I use as my primary piece for recognition is an early piece, which many people look at as a ladder, sort of a ladder to heaven or whatever, but it's actually a DNA with a mutation in it. And as soon as you say that, they go, oh yeah, I can see that. But it takes, you know, sometimes people see it right away and some people, as long as they just think, I don't care what they think about, but something that they take away with it.